Catus, Maximus here, this time with a review. These are the gear wrench. They're rebranded DuraLast, but they actually are gear wrench wrenches. I call them the double quad or a 2x4 wrench. They use a different name, which is a double duty ratcheting wrench set. I did get lucky. These are blue dot ones, so these are some from when AutoZone actually had decent made tools before they're all Chinese. It's really pretty sad. They do have a lot of their ratchets now are gear wrench, but they seem to be particularly low quality gear wrench. But these things actually are pretty neat. Once again, they're the blue dot, and they're 2x4 because they're a double box, double-ended ratcheting box wrench. But versus many other types of double-ended ratcheting box wrenches where it's just one, it's two different sizes, one on each side, they actually have this interesting method where they've double broached these, so it's actually 4 sizes. And so they are a bit more expensive. That is some complicated broaching in there to broach 2 different socket sizes inside the same ring, I should say there, as well as stamping individual sizes on, or 4 different individual stampings. Why am I reviewing these? Because they were 25 bucks for this 2-piece set, and the cheapest I could find online is GearWrench has a 3-piece set of the fractional and a 4-piece set of the metric. And they're all, like, the cheapest price I could find was like $90 or something, usually $95 or $100. And these 2 wrenches were 25 bucks at AutoZone. And then the large gear wrench, which goes up to 1-inch version of this, was about $40 or $45. So I thought, God, you could save 20, 30 bucks actually buying both this 2-piece set from AutoZone and then just buying the 3rd independent wrench from GearWrench. So you can save quite a bit of money. And the one advantage I see to these is really weight and a number of uses. That's one reason, or one thing that I've noticed about the pass-through ratchet and socket sets is if you're, not just youth core, but if you're in forest service, you have to do any kind of traveling on foot with tools, and you want to carry as little weight as possible. And these types of wrenches are optimal for that situation. They allow you to turn a wide variety of fasteners for as least weight as possible, as well as actually being good to keep in a car. They're great for assembling, swing sets and all sorts of stuff, just because it's just so convenient to have 4 different sizes of wrenches or of drives on a single wrench. So you got 2 wrenches here, and you have 8 sizes from 5/16 to 3/4 inch by 1/16. That's quite impressive, to tell you the truth. And then they do make the broaching pretty deep. I'm pretty happy with that. They really do hold the full depth of the head of the bolt, so that's something that's good. And at least on half the sizes, obviously on the smaller sizes, the bolt would pass through, but like since 3/4 inch is the largest and 11/16 is slightly smaller, on some fasteners you'll actually be able to set it into the wrench and have it hold the bolt. So I thought, in some situations that could be pretty handy. And then just regular reversing levers. I guess I'm a little bit on the fence on whether I would have liked both levers on the same side or on opposite sides, but I guess it's really not a big deal. And then, of course, the very slight offset so they can get that full traction or that full engagement actually makes them even more handy, because they can just clear multiple fasteners that are next to each other. Actually, let me show you that. Here we go. So a situation like this, you can reach this far fastener back here, and you can see that the wrench actually will clear the next fastener that's closest to it, as long as it's not too close, and it actually makes these just have a lot more versatility. So anyway, that's really what I thought and for like junkyard duty, because it really gets tiresome if you have to carrying around tools around the junkyard, because they get heavy fast. So I thought, as kind of cheesy as multi-drive size wrenches are, I think this is really a pretty good compromise, to be honest. It seems about, one of the best ways to do is just have the each side of the wrench drive 2 different socket sizes, so it's really like just a normal, ratcheting box wrench. And then having a slight offset just increases its versatility and its reach. I think these obviously won't work in all situations, but they certainly can be handy. And even with just a 2-piece set, at least for the fractional, for 25 bucks, actually I think they would not take long to pay themselves off. Just because if you can get it on the fastener, you'll probably have, or at least fractionally, you will have the right size. you know, as long as things like on this 5/8, that ring is super thick right there, so the heads are a little bit thicker. I think the ratchet mechanisms are going to be relatively small. The one thing about them is they are relatively short beams, so if you're really breaking some bolts, especially, you know, this wrench, this is actually way too short for a 3/4 inch fastener, unless it's a pretty lightly torqued one, so you're not going to have any choice but to have to stand on them or hit them with rocks and sticks, just because that's the only way to get leverage. So at least AutoZone's still selling these. They do have a newer version, or the newer version of the packaging, and that's how I really knew they were gear wrenches, because the packaging on the new ones is exactly the same, even with like a little fake plastic fastener. But I thought they were pretty cool, so I just wanted to show you guys and then tell you how for 25 bucks it's actually a really good deal, and probably one of the only non-Chinese tools now that are at AutoZone. And compared to things like dog bone wrenches and other forms of multi-drive wrenches, these are going to be way more useful than any of those, because they are just simply a ratcheting box wrench. This happens to be just a little bit thicker, but for that thickness, you get a trade-off of more access. You know, as I said, I think that's actually pretty cool, and have always had my mind on these, so finally picked them up. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.